one of the things that I believe that you offer really well is that ease of integration. When a client is ready to implement a loyalty program, they want it yesterday and they want it to work perfectly today with customizations. So I think it's very important to be able to set them on the successful path quickly, right? To get those quick wins, to begin integrating quickly, for them not have to rebuild their tech stack, for them to be able to implement and then grow.
Hi, welcome to Antavo Loyalty Stories. I'm Michelle Ellicott-Taylor, Head of Global Partnerships. At Antavo, we're working with some key brands powering their loyalty campaigns with customers including KFC, Benefit Cosmetics, and BMW. In our loyalty series, we're really excited to invite key experts in the field to come and talk to us about loyalty and talk about the customer trends that are going on right now and into the future. So we're delighted today to introduce Brian Adamovich, CEO at CultureKey, one of our key partners focused on the US market. Brian, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, not at all. Would you like to give yourself a bit of an introduction?
Sure. It's very nice to meet everybody today. My name is Brian Adamovich. As mentioned, I'm the CEO of CultureKey. We're a professional services provider focusing on full lifecycle operational landscape. So we put our attention towards organizational adaptation and on-demand leadership. We're very non-transactional as an organization. So that means that we're rooted in culture, empathy, integrity, driving results. And we don't just do handing over a deck and running away. We actually stick around to do the work. So very exciting times for us at CultureKey. We just hit the market, and the feedback has been incredible so far, and we're so excited to be servicing our customers and their customers. As for me personally, I've been in professional services nearly my entire career. I've touched on over 120 brands to date, including several in the loyalty space, which we'll be discussing today. I worked with really large Fortune 50 companies, all the way down to small organizations that are just getting started. In my loyalty career, I spent quite a few years at AMIA, which is formerly Carlson Marketing Group. They were the early pioneers of loyalty in the US. They had the Gold Points program, if that resonates with anybody who's been around for a while. Since then, my career has taken a few interesting turns along the way. I'm a recovering attorney. I had to kind of wash that away with an MBA. So I like to joke that I can read a P&L and a contract. Other than that, I live in the US. I'm in Phoenix, so I love the hot weather and the desert. I love exploring new restaurants, trying new things, and then kind of burning off those calories by hiking in the desert and in the mountains. I also coach youth basketball, and I enjoy that quite a bit. I'm, again, very happy to be here.
Oh, that's great. Thanks so much for the insight there. And you've got a wealth of knowledge with working with all the variety of clients that you've done. So hopefully we'll get to get some more insights on that today. And I guess the good starting point for us really is thinking about what you've seen out there as far as loyalty is concerned. What do you think that is a good example of someone that has done it really differently? Who's really outstanding to you that gets you excited about what they're doing with loyalty?
I'm a very big fan of shopping local right now. That's something that has really been at the forefront in the U.S. market. There's been this concerted switch to more local shopping. So what's really exciting to me is seeing the beginning seedling stages of coalition partnerships starting to take place in different markets, right? When you have different mom and pops banding together to offer a concise and robust program that not only encourages for you to shop with them, but also for you to go to, their neighbor or, to a complementary lifestyle store. So I'm a big fan of that. As far as large programs, I'm always a fan of REI. I think that they do a great job at, rewarding customers and making them feel at home. But, as far as kind of the recent trends of, coalition and partnership, I'm really loving what I'm seeing on that front.
Excellent. Okay. And then as regarding the work that you do yourselves, what would you say is the work that you're most proud of?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely excited about bringing a lot of equity and inclusivity into the programs that we have been working on, making sure that all customers are accepted and we're providing a deep breadth of offerings for our end customers that excites them, brings them back, and brings them into that family.
Excellent. Okay. I guess, some of the things you've alluded to already with what you've seen in the market, we've obviously been through a number of different years, but what would you say are really the main, I guess, changes that you've seen in the loyalty industry over recent years?
Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of eco-friendly and sustainable loyalty programs popping up. So environmental consciousness continues to grow. Loyalty programs may place a greater emphasis on sustainability. So that's something that's coming about. Gamification is, it's been an ongoing conversation for over a decade now, but it's better than ever.
Yeah.
AI powered, services, and that's everything from, the offering the core service down to AI powered chatbots and customer service and, just the way that the rewards engine, I think that's a very cool thing that we're going to see a huge takeoff in the coming, months and years to come. Obviously with COVID, we've seen contactless and mobile wallet integrations become a huge thing. Blockchain and crypto rewards is starting to become more and more popular, even though, there's a little bit of a lull right now. I think that the progress that was made since 2020, I don't think that can be taken back. There's a lot of great innovation that's happening. And again, going back to coalition programs, partnerships, it's really about, I love the focus on providing greater value to customers. We're winning them back, bringing them in, making them a part of an extension of the brand. I think that's a very critical evolution in programs from the days of having a punch card. So I think we're definitely headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say there about like gamification, because it is, some brands are talking about that as a new thing, like the immersive experience, but actually it's been around a while, hasn't it? It's just more brands need to move forward with it.
Yeah, I remember we were at AMIA in 2010 doing gamification, and we felt like we were just catching up. So
yeah.
It still feels new. I think it's definitely evolving with time and becoming a lot more interesting and bringing a different set of experiences to the customer. So I do think that there is, just because it's an established concept, I do think there's a lot of room for continuous innovation and improvement.
Oh, definitely. And I think that's the kind of experience that so many brands, want to use, because people respond so well to that. So, yeah, that's interesting. And I guess we've spoken about, some changes there. But do you see, maybe some of the things you've touched on already, but like the two main trends that, in loyalty that you see that is coming, that people are going to be investing in the future?
So I do think that, I think AI. So AI is going to continue to evolve. We've gotten a small taste of it this year. It's becoming a household name. People are becoming more familiar with it. ChatGPT is the big buzzword right now, but there's a lot more to it than that, right? So I think AI powered loyalty is going to evolve. I think it's going to create a lot more opportunities for rapid personalization, integration. We'll be able to cater to very specific micro targeting needs. So I love where we're heading with AI, and then again going back to kind of more on the emotional side of things. I think emotional loyalty is going to be something that is going to be a focus in the future, right? So it's about creating that differentiation, that value. So emotional loyalty is going beyond transactional rewards. Future loyalty programs may focus on building those emotional connections with customers. So, brands can or should be building strategies that foster a sense of belonging, trust, shared values of, this is what we believe in together, and this is part of our brand. So, creating those emotional connections beyond the transaction, I think is really the next frontier of a successful loyalty program.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, there's obviously the really good programs brands have in place, like the point systems, the earn and burns, and they work really well with certain types of customer. But other brands are looking at where they can be more, they're looking at this immersive experience on the gamification side, but creating that emotional loyalty side as well. And that can tie in as well with something you said about like the ESG and sustainability and feeling good about the brand you're associated to. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these will evolve over the next couple of years. So
absolutely.
I guess looking at some of the trends and things there, and obviously you're talking with these customers and brands all the time about, I guess, the loyalty stories, what they should be, in the strategy, what they should be building out. But when you're thinking about the actual platforms that they need to be working with and how a loyalty tech vendor like Antavo can be supporting this, what are the main sort of features that I guess you're thinking about as the consultant that's going to make sure the brand can achieve what they want to?
Yeah. So I think it's extremely important to follow the customer's needs and balance their short-term requirements with the long-term vision, right? And one of the things that I believe that you offer really well is that ease of integration, right? That ability to, when a client is ready to implement a loyalty program, they want it yesterday and they want it to work perfectly today, with customizations. So I think it's very important to be able to, set them on the successful path quickly, right? To get those quick wins, to begin integrating quickly, not for them not have to rebuild their tech stack, for them to be able to implement and then grow. And I think that your platform, I think Antavo's platform is uniquely positioned to create that sustainability and that growth, and to grow with that from the MVP stage, right? All the way through a robust loyalty program, whatever that end state looks like, is to be able to be that partner without having to constantly rewire and rebuild and restructure. Like, having a platform that can seamlessly go along for that growth and be along for that ride as a strategic partner, not just a lever to pull, I think is critical.
Yeah, and it's interesting you said there about the growth as well, because looking at a loyalty program, it's not, putting something in for 3 months and expecting, there you go, there's your ROI, it's all working. It's like, it's a long-term investment. And I guess you must see this, people who are planning for what they want to achieve in 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, and so on.
Right. It's a long-term play. And while, you can always aim, what we always do is we set strategic KPIs for set periods of time, short, medium, long term, with an eye towards the long term, not to sell out the future for the immediate. But, with the loyalty program, you could get quick wins. It's just important to not jeopardize what, 36 months from now might look like to get, the quick 90-day win.
Yeah, exactly. And having something that is going to work in that short-term period while taking longer to think about, that one further down the line. But yeah, that's really interesting. And I guess kind of leads on to something else I was thinking about with regards to the actual loyalty consultants and people in these roles. And we're thinking about, obviously there's people coming in, at junior levels, let's say, as a loyalty manager in their early stages of their career, early 20s. And I guess what kind of advice would you be giving to people like that? Because, they want to aspire to be the director of that loyalty, that consultant, what are the considerations that they should be thinking about long term in a role like that?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. I think really getting to know the customer really well, really putting yourself in the shoes of a customer, becoming a customer advocate. It's really becoming, putting yourself in a situation where you can represent what your customers' desires, wants, needs, preferences are, so that when you are evolving the program as your responsibilities evolve, you are able to provide exactly what the customer is looking for. Because if you don't have that basis, if you don't have that foundation, you can have the best tools in the world. You're still, your chances of missing the mark are pretty high. So it's really important that anybody that's building loyalty programs really get into the heart and the mind of the customers and what their needs are.
Yeah, and I think it's also thinking about, that's great, and thank you for sharing that, because there's obviously lots of people thinking, in this whole space, like you said, loyalty has been seeing such growth, and so many businesses now are looking at having this as part of their initial strategy, not something further down the line, and therefore they're employing people in these roles. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of these loyalty decisions sit just with that team. And yeah, I'm interested to kind of understand more about who's giving you the assignments. Like, does the CEO get involved? Is it head of digital, procurement? But who gets involved with these assignments?
Sometimes all of the above, right? It depends on the type of business and organization and the structure. Sometimes if it's PE backed, sometimes the PE will get involved because they have a vision, and there's possibly a vision for a coalition partnership in the future. CEO, especially for a company that's fairly new or growing ambitiously, the CEO loves to get involved. We do work very closely with the CMO, the CTO, the COO, and maybe a little bit surprising is that the CFO has a spot at the table too, right? Because there's a financial implication involved. So it really is, it's a team effort, especially, depending on the type of customer. If it's a larger enterprise organization, it will be more of a director type level role that manages the relationships up to VP level. If it's a smaller organization or an organization that's rapidly growing, it'll be in the VP or the C level of those respective disciplines. And it really is important to consider it's more than just one person, right? A loyalty program impacts an entire organization and the entire organization structure. So it's important to remember that the CTO or whoever is in charge of technology will have an opinion on how this is implemented and how this is run. The CFO will absolutely, it will be a line item, hopefully an important integration into their consideration. So it really, when building the strategy, it's important to consider, who the stakeholders are and whether they're in everyday contact or they're a stakeholder in the background. Understanding what their needs are and anticipating how to service them is critical.
Yeah, and like that ties back in with what you said about the loyalty consultant needing to know the customer and know all the contacts within that, but also from an agency and consultancy side, understanding who else is involved. So great. Okay. And then I was thinking about, obviously you're focused on North America as a key market for you. And with regards to, I guess, regional differences with loyalty. So do you see that within a region like that? Or is it more that you might say you see that Western Europe is different to how North America are reacting to loyalty programs? Or have you got some insights at all on regional differences?
Yeah, I think that, so the United States is obviously and North America is a very vast, geographically diverse market, which is very difficult to have a one-size-fits-all approach. what you have in what you can cater to, somebody even in California will be very different to my home state of Arizona, very different markets. And then even within those markets, you have various markets. So, and then when I'm sure, from an international perspective, a great, very stark example is the New York market versus Texas, right? You have a very different, just from a geography perspective, a preference perspective, like you have very different layouts, right? And so, yeah, considering, taking that into consideration when building a loyalty program, especially if you're doing something on an enterprise level or a coalition level, it's why it's so difficult, right? How do you cater to somebody in Lubbock, Texas, in the same way that you cater to somebody in Chicago? So it really does take, that's when personalization becomes extremely critical. And that's why loyalty in the United States. And then when you expand that to North America, that's when it becomes even more complicated because you have so much geographical diversity.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting thinking about the different regions, how different cultures respond, how you might have different emotional loyalty drivers for something, say sustainability in one region, and it'll be a different driver in another region. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, even from an environmental perspective, right? We have constant droughts where we are, whereas other parts of the country experience flooding. So it's a very different perspective. And, it's a very large country with a very diverse group of people with diverse needs, wants, and preferences. And that brings us back to kind of creating that value on a personal level and having those levers as part of a loyalty program to make sure that you're getting as broad of an audience within your ecosystem as possible.
Definitely. Oh, thank you for that. Now, we're nearly there at the end of the session. So thank you so much for your insights. But I'd really like to ask you, maybe there's something, well, we all like to be like surprised and delight, what's the thing that has worked for you? So is there something this year in loyalty that has surprised you and delighted you? But yeah, what's something that's a bit different that you've seen?
I have, going back to that emotional loyalty piece and seeing how smaller organizations, smaller companies are starting to utilize that. They're getting a lot more savvy, and frankly, in some cases they're outpacing some of the larger competitors. In that it's really, they're building a loyalty program that involves personalized communications, exclusive events and offerings. They're catering to communities. They're more uniquely qualified to be able to kind of touch onto their local environments, and they're taking advantage of that. So smaller companies building those longer term relationships and being able to do so in a more nimble fashion, I love to see that. It levels the playing field. In the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of loyalty programs pop up, right? We've seen a lot of different offerings, and those that can create that emotional connection that is more than just a churn or an earn and burn, but can really excite and delight and bring themselves to the forefront I think that's absolutely critical. I think I saw a stat recently that the average American has between 16 and 17 loyalty programs that they're a part of.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many I'm a part of. I don't know, but I can tell you, which ones that I use, which ones I like, and those are the ones that I have an emotional connection to, that I feel strongly about their brand. So I'm very excited about emotional loyalty. And on the other side of things, I also think that AI, while we're currently thinking of it as the anti-emotional component, I think that can actually help build those relationships between brands and consumers and can actually strengthen it. So I'm excited about how those two will work together in unison in the future.
That's great. I really like that stat about 16 to 17 loyalty programs. I mean, that's a lot. That would be really interesting to see what that looks like across different regions. Like, what does someone from the UK, how many programs do they sign up to, and what are those average stats? But yeah, 16 to 17 programs, that's a significant amount, isn't it?
Right.
Excellent. Okay, well, look, Brian, thank you so much for your input today on Antavo loyalty stories. You've got lots of knowledge to share there and lots of expertise. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, not at all. And please, wherever you see Antavo loyalty stories, hit like or subscribe and come and visit us at antavo.com. And if you've got any work you'd like to talk about in regards to opportunities with CultureKey, please visit CultureKey and reach out to Brian Adamovich. And thank you again.